Looking for a degree program that rewards you for what you already know? At WGU, all of our bachelor's and master's programs are competency-based, allowing you to progress at your own pace. Washingtonians know how valuable time and money are, and so do we. At WGU, your hard work and experience can help you finish your degree faster and for less. Join a community of driven professionals from across the DMV who are unlocking new career opportunities today. See how your knowledge can give you an edge at wgu.edu.
Good afternoon. We're getting right down to business here, doing it live, doing more at 4 weekday afternoons, right after Guy Benson and just before the 790 KBC News Blitz. And stay tuned at 6 o'clock this evening for the Just Help One radio show and podcast presented by the Union Rescue Mission. I'll be back on the air at 6 o'clock this evening and every Thursday evening at 6 with Mark Hood, the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission. Tonight, we'll be talking about reasons to smile on Skid Row and how the Union Rescue Mission is helping people get their smile back, thanks to the USC URM Dental Clinic right there. But right now, it's Mottek On Money. We are live on the air, 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at kbc.com. And you're on demand, Mottek On Money podcast, kbc.com, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, all your favorite podcast platforms. Stocks did move higher today. The market's taking in the big news on NVIDIA's earnings, as well as the ongoing tariff drama, as you just heard on the top of the hour newscast. The federal appeals court allowed President Trump's tariffs to temporarily at least stay in place a day after the U.S. Court of International Trade blocked the tariff implementation after calling the method used to enact them unlawful. The Trump administration, of course, disagrees with that and now fighting in court. President Trump's tariffs will remain in effect for now. The Dow coming in for a closing gain of 117 points, the S&P 500 of 24, the NASDAQ of 75, all three of the major averages retreating from their highs of the day early on. NVIDIA stock, meanwhile, did rally today after its first quarter revenue topped estimates. We'll be speaking to the top tech analyst coming up here in just a moment, an expert on NVIDIA and the entire tech scene. Dan Ives will be joining us live from Wedbush here in just a moment. Overall, NVIDIA's performance boosted hopes on Wall Street that big tech can weather the president's far-reaching trade policy. Dell in the spotlight this afternoon, reporting first quarter earnings that missed analyst expectations, but it looks like Dell beat on revenue and offered a stronger than expected forecast for the current quarter. We'll take a closer look at that. Dell is one of NVIDIA's primary vendors, by the way. Best Buy cutting its full-year guidance, citing economic uncertainty around tariffs, and we're looking at Costco's earnings coming in this afternoon. Costco posting quarterly earnings and revenue that topped analyst expectations as the warehouse club sales climbed 8%. We did see unemployment lines getting a bit longer than expected this past week, and a slight upgrade from the initial reading. The Commerce Department said the economy shrank at a 0.2% annualized rate in the first quarter. President Trump and the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell meeting privately at the White House today. The Fed said in a statement that Chairman Powell met with the president to discuss economic developments, including growth, employment, and inflation. Powell, according to the Fed statement that came out after the meeting, quote, did not discuss his expectations for monetary policy except to stress that the path of policy will depend entirely on incoming economic information and what that means for the outlook, unquote. The Fed chairman said he and his colleagues on the Fed's rate-setting committee, the Federal Open Market Committee, will make decisions about monetary policy based solely on careful, objective, and non-political analysts, according to the Fed statement. Now, the White House confirmed that meeting, with the White House press secretary telling reporters today the Fed summary was correct, but noting that the president pushed Chairman Powell to lower rates. On the Main Street economy this afternoon, we'll get an update on the restaurant business and small business in general in the San Fernando Valley from the tireless champion of small business and the restaurant business there, the one and only Angela Marsden, the owner of the Pineapple Hills Saloon and Grill, will be joining me live later this afternoon. We'll also get an update on what's ahead for the trucking business here in California. Charles Bowles will be joining us, one of the top executives at Trader Interactive, the parent company of Commercial Truck Trader. Knows what's going on with the CARB rules, reshaping California trucking, which is facing big changes under new emissions rules, among other things. But first, on your money, the markets, the economy, NVIDIA, Dell, AI, and the whole works now. Thrilled to say joining us live is Daniel Ives, Managing Director and Global Head of Technology Research at Wedbush Securities, based right here in Southern California. He's on X2, formerly known as Twitter, at Dives, right? Dives Tech it is, right? Dan, Thank you very much for joining us live here this afternoon.
Great.
Take it from the top, your reaction to the big NVIDIA news this week, first of all.
The godfather of AI, Jensen, NVIDIA delivered. And I think it just shows, despite the tariff worries and obviously what's happening in China, look, Frank, demand's outstripping supply 8-1. This is the fourth industrial revolution, and there's only one chip fueling it, and it's NVIDIA. And I believe this is going to be a $4 trillion and ultimately $5 trillion market cap.
On there live with Daniel Ives from Wedbush, and we learned a little bit more about NVIDIA chips at the Milken Institute Global Conference recently when Jensen Huang was interviewed by Michael Milken himself. These chips are pretty big, right? They weigh tons. Tell us more about these chips.
Look, I mean, the reality is when you hear about AI, whether it's on consumer from Meta, Google, whether it's autonomous robotics, whether it's enterprise, there's only one chip fueling it. It's NVIDIA. And that's why, you talk about the national security risk and what we're seeing with China, because Trump administration knows, it's well known, that this is the way that AI is ultimately going to happen around the globe. And NVIDIA right now, it's their world. Everyone else pays rent. They're years ahead of any other competitor.
All right, we've seen a wild ride this year for NVIDIA stock, cracked below 100, right? And now rebounding here. It closed off its high point, it looks like, of the day at more than $4 at 139 and change. Of course, people are following the stock very closely. What do you see ahead for NVIDIA stock?
I think the stock's going to have a 2 in front of it by the end of the year. I mean, 175 to 200 is sort of where we see the stock going, because we're just in the early days. I mean, you've talked about it, of AI playing out around the world. And think about what's happening in the Middle East. Middle East, I mean, now the AI revolution is coming to Middle East. And who's fueling that? NVIDIA. And it's the start of the revolution. It's not just about NVIDIA, too. It's Palantir, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, CoreWeave, and many others.
Jensen Huang, the head of NVIDIA, accompanied President Trump on part of his Middle East trip, and there were some big deals announced there. I'm sure you've taken a close look at that. What were some of the big takeaways from that important visit?
Yeah, I mean, look, that was red carpet rolled out, right? I mean, Saudi Arabia, I believe when you look at Saudi Arabia and UAE, that could add $1 trillion of potential opportunity to overall AI over the coming years. And it's going to be the biggest data center in UAE outside the U.S. And that we're talking, what's ultimately going to be 100,000s of NVIDIA chips. Because where we are today, we're only in the first, maybe second inning of AI playing out. And I continue to believe 25 years covering tech, never seen anything like it. It's going to make .com or any other tech cycle that we've seen small, and that's why it speaks to my view. Tech stocks, we're going to be talking about NASDAQ 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 over the coming years.
On there live with Daniel Ives with Wedbush, and already the language is changing, right, Dan? When people used to say, I'm going to Google it up, now I'm going to chat GPT it up, right? Give us an update on the proper language we should be using nowadays.
Look, I mean, I think some of that, the bark's worse than the bite, right? I mean, Google is going to continue to adapt to AI world, and they're going to be able to monetize that as well. You could chat GPT and obviously some of the models. I mean, obviously it's a new world, and you look at OpenAI and how Microsoft's going to play there as well. But look, it's creating a new ecosystem. And when you think about where everything is today, consumers have just started to tap what ultimately AI is going to bring.
Dell out with its earnings this afternoon. I know you watch that one too. And as I mentioned, Dell, one of NVIDIA's primary vendors that builds systems around NVIDIA's AI graphics processing units, right? So what were the takeaways on the Dell news this afternoon?
I thought pretty solid. I mean, look, they're obviously going to have some headwinds, and some of the more legacy players. I mean, obviously Dell, HP was softer yesterday, but I continue to think it's pretty positive, and I think when you look even Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, this is going to be a renaissance of growth. But look, companies like Dell, they're ultimately the only way that they're going to really catch up are going to be acquisitions.
IBM getting new attention. That stock's been on the move too, up around 250, if I recall off the top of my head. What about IBM here, Big Blue?
That's in one of our favorite under the radar names. I mean,
wow.
I love it as an install based name. It's an under the radar AI name. It's cheap. It's about install bases. It's about renaissance of growth that's happening even on some of these bigger plays. IBM, Salesforce.com, Oracle. And I think that's more and more what we're going to see. And you've talked about it a ton on the show. It's about second, third, fourth derivatives of AI playing out. Whether it's software, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's energy, how are you going to fuel it? Nuclear, names like Oklo, data center.
Did IBM finally get out of its way? Remember, they started with Watson, right? That was a big deal when that came out. You've been doing this for a long time. So where do you see IBM go from here?
I mean, I think IBM's $325 to $350 stock. And I think Arvind, the CEO, I think he's a visionary, and he's turned this thing around.
And Microsoft, of course, has been surprising lately, too. What about Microsoft here?
One of our top picks. I mean, when you talk about AI, I mean, this is right in their backyard in terms of the enterprise. They're going to continue. Nadella understands AI as well as anyone out there, with Jensen, obviously, and Carp from Palantir. And I think it just speaks to where we're going. And Microsoft's going to continue to lead this because it's all about enterprises moving to AI.
Looks like Tesla, as we've talked about, is off the Mag 7 list now, right? Replaced by Broadcom, and the big news that Elon Musk is stepping down from Doge now to concentrate on Tesla and his other efforts. What about Tesla here, which of course has also seen a pretty big rebound this year?
I think Tesla's going to be a $2 trillion market cap. And I think when it comes to autonomous, which is the next chapter, I believe a lot of the value in Tesla is autonomous and robotics, which is why I was so, outspoken about Musk needing to get back to being CEO. And obviously he's done that because, to me, along with NVIDIA, Tesla is the most disruptive technology company in the world. And autonomous is ultimately the next chapter.
You're probably on your way to Costco after this. Costco came out with its earnings this afternoon. They sell computers too, right? What about Costco here?
Yeah, I mean, look, overall, you're seeing pretty solid numbers in terms of some of the consumer plays, in terms of what consumer sentiment looks like. Look, airlines obviously a little softer. But what this is telling you is economy's holding in. Consumers are holding in. The employment numbers are pretty good. That's bullish. I mean, it's a bullish setup to me. Well, you got tariffs and obviously the roller coaster there, but I think market makes new all-time highs as we go into summer.
All right, one laggard, it seems, for at least the moment, is Apple. What about Apple here and its AI forays? And the stock has been under pressure this year.
Yeah, it's been under because it's in the eye of the storm of the tariffs. But that's not changing the long-term view. I mean, you're talking about the best install base in the world, and the consumer AI revolution is going to go through Apple. Stock, I think, is way oversold here. I think WWDC in a few weeks, developer conference, is going to be positive in terms of AI. And to me, in terms of the large caps, this continues to be way oversold, in my opinion.
All right. Obviously, yeah, Apple's been in the news on the tariff locking horns with President Trump, Tim Cook. What is going to happen, you think? Our iPhone's going to be made here in the USA?
It's a fairy tale that iPhone's going to be made in the USA. If you want $3,500 iPhones, we should make them in Santa Monica. If you like $1,000 iPhones, they're made in China or India. And I think that's the reality. They'll move AI. They'll have AI other parts of the supply chain. But I continue to view it as it's a fairy tale, the concepts of Apple making iPhones in the U.S.
Let's move it to West Hollywood, which I believe still has the highest minimum wage in the United States, by the way, so that if you want to take it to the extreme. What about crypto? You're watching what's happening there, too, with various companies getting into it. What's the latest on the cutting edge on the crypto scene?
Look, but I mean, deregulatory, it continues to be very positive. I think crypto, the path continues to be higher. And I think you're seeing more and more institutional appetite for crypto, and that's not going to slow down. It's a positive, and also I think you're starting to actually see the view that crypto could actually be uncorrelated from risk assets. It's almost a play, almost to some extent as a hedge against U.S. dollar and U.S. debt, and I think that's a positive in terms of how it's playing out in the markets.
All right, companies and the government looking to get Bitcoin reserves. Trump media saying investors will fund a company, a Bitcoin reserve. That made news this week, too. What's your reaction to that news?
It's more of the same. I mean, look, Trump is not hiding it. He's pro-crypto. You're going to continue to see this, and investors are going to bet with him, not against him. And I think that's the path.
As far as crypto miners or ETFs that you track, anything, any specific places? Let me put it this way: where you are putting money now and/or taking it off the table.
I mean, crypto. I think MicroStrategy continues to be the best play in terms of everything Michael Saylor is doing. That in my opinion.
Daniel, thank you very much for the call here. I know you've had a very busy week, so really appreciate it very much. Daniel Lives at Wedbush, live with us here on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC.
Looking for a degree program that rewards you for what you already know? At WGU, all of our bachelor's and master's programs are competency-based, allowing you to progress at your own pace. Washingtonians know how valuable time and money are, and so do we. At WGU, your hard work and experience can help you finish your degree faster and for less. Join a community of driven professionals from across the DMV who are unlocking new career opportunities today. See how your knowledge can give you an edge at wgu.edu.
Former MLB All-Star Sean Casey, a.k.a. The Mayor, keeps hitting it out of the park.
I don't need to hear anything from anybody. There's too much riding on my mind being locked in. Play offense, not defense. If you play hard and you play the game right, nobody really gets on you. They're going to boo you here and there, but if you show them that you care and that you're playing hard, that's what you need to do. Just play the game one way. You hit a ball in the gap, run. Boom, coming in hot.
The Mayor's Office with Sean Casey from Believe.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Mottek On Money continues, 790 KBC. Good afternoon. We have a winning day for the stock market today on the latest tariff developments. They're on for now. The Dow up 117 points at 42,216. The S&P 500 of 24 at 5,912. The NASDAQ of 75 points at 19,176. The volatility index slipping about 0.5% today. Gold hovering at around $3,342 an ounce, down about $2 here at the moment. Silver down 5 cents at $33.37. Platinum hovering at around $1,080 now, and palladium at $979.50. Taking a look at the price of oil, it's back below $61 a barrel now. NVIDIA, the star of the day, moving higher by more than $4 at $139 and change. Apple slipping 47 cents at $199 and change. Costco out with better than expected earnings this afternoon. Pull back today during the regular trading session, down more than $4 at $1,008.74 a share. Microsoft down 73 cents at $4.56 and change. And Tesla up $1.53 at $3.58 and change. Taking a look at the cryptos here now. Bitcoin slipping from recent highs after kissing record highs recently in the last week. Right now, Bitcoin at 105,746. Ethereum pulling back about 11 here at 2,633. We see Doge at the moment at 22 cents. And now the latest news for you here on 790 KBC. Mottek On Money continues here, 790 KBC. Turning now to the Main Street economy here in Los Angeles. Let's get an update on what's really happening out there from Angela Marsden. Let's get an update on the restaurant business and small business in the San Fernando Valley from the tireless champion of small business and the restaurant business, Angela Marsden, owner of the Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill. Angela Marsden, you may recall, burst onto the scene during the pandemic shutdowns when a video she made went viral, the one showing her anger and frustration while her restaurant was shut down. A catering operation for a movie was operating right next door to her place. And Angela, thank you very much for joining us live here this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and I was thinking of you. We had the BizFed survey come out on big business concerns for this area, and just exactly what you've been talking about all these years: taxes and fees, government regulation, the cost of energy, homelessness, and crime also among the big issues. Why don't you tell us what's going on?
It's unbelievable. I feel like I've been ranting and coming on and telling this over and over for years, but we're still in the same place. Small business owners, in particular restaurants, are still in the same place as we were in the pandemic. Do you guys realize that for at least 200 businesses, restaurants have gone out of business a year since 2023? I mean, we have a mayor and we have city officials who have never run businesses. And as I've been telling everybody, it shows in the massive budget shortfall, right? And the fraud that's happening. So we've got massive fraud going on in the homeless, and now we can't afford anything. And so guess what happens? They defund the police. So the city council just voted. They're going to reduce LAPD from 8,000 to 6,000. They just actually did another budget cut to the LA Fire Department, the LA Fire Department after this. And why does it matter to small businesses? Because we have been going to the news. We have been crying and we have been begging for more help with security. We are being robbed. We are being pillaged, just like the homeowners are. The homeowners are getting it equally as bad as we've been getting it since 2021. And so now we have this great city council that agrees to this budget to basically defund LAPD. Do you realize I get pictures all the time? Fellow shop owner owns a donut shop, opening up fresh donuts. Can you imagine how hard it is to survive with the wages, with the insurance? They're just doing their thing. And here comes a homeless person, pulls down his pants and defecates right in front of their restaurant. Do you know it takes 40 minutes to even on a call like that or longer to get LAPD out or to get the homeless help out? And this is what our mayor thinks is good business, right? Defund the police, defund the fire department, give no help to the small businesses whatsoever, keep raising minimum wage. I mean, I believe in living wages, but this model is not working. We need people in that are not about just taking from the brick and mortar businesses that are here, but are also about creating revenue and creating jobs. And they're not. What they're doing is they're taking all of our money and then they're going to the main street and they're telling the main street that we've got to foot the bill. And it's just unbelievable. We've lost so many legacy restaurants. And I was just speaking to somebody that works with a lot of legacy businesses and they're trying to get them prepared because, you know, next year we have a World Cup coming. We do have the Olympics coming. I'm being told a lot of the training for the World Cup is going to be in the San Fernando Valley. So, of course, as a small business owner, you want to make sure you're ready for that and you can capture some of that audience, right? And that keeps you going. That's exciting. But the legacy businesses are barely holding on. They have no help. There was a grant that they were supposed to be getting, the legacy businesses. They've only given out one round of grants. And the grants isn't even a lot of money, but anything would help them. And just so you guys know, they're really trying to give legacy status to businesses that have been around 25 years or more. So please go to LA Legacy Businesses on Instagram, and you'll see the pictures of the new businesses coming up that would love your support. And there's many in Sherman Oaks we're trying to get on board. But it affects all of us because the restaurants and the bars, that is where artists go. That's where the musicians go. That's where the writers go. I mean, look what's going on in that area. I hope and I pray that we can revitalize that and we can bring that back. But we really need, and I'm begging, and I have, Christy Vega, you can go to her Instagram. She's really, trying to champion and get people to wake up. It's about policies and it's about politics. And we must change the policies and the politics because they are not working. It is not working in LA. Right now, UCLA did a study, and the quality of life, and Angelenos feel their quality of life is at all-time low, an all-time low. Can you imagine having a legacy business here that you've had, like my business has been around since 1978, and you're just trying to keep it going because you have people that have been married there. You have people that, have sat in the same chair since 1980. I literally have had weddings in my patio, or people come in right before they're getting married, and babies born, and memories. And that is what establishes a strong community. Neighbors, knowing who their neighbors are, and, mom and pop establishments that care about the neighborhood, that invest in the neighborhood, and that are a place where you can build memories. And when you come back when your child is 21, you can have that first drink with them and that first memory and tell them all the stuff that you experienced before they turn 21. And that is what I love about the legacy businesses. That's what I love about LA. And that was what the most magical thing of LA is all the small business owners and their unique personalities, their unique takes on food and entertainment and clothing, to come and not feel like you're in a corporate-owned mall, which is what it's turning into. Every decision they're making benefits the corporations. $30 an hour on the hotels, there's already 6 hotels that have to back out of the Olympics because they can't afford it. I'm not here to say that people don't deserve more if the money's there, but we need people that run businesses and actually look at budgets to make decisions. I just find it interesting that LA County can say that they don't have enough money to pay their employees more, but then they have the audacity to sit behind a chair and tell other businesses what they have to pay without even seeing if it's going to put them out of business, without even seeing how many hamburgers that business can sell. I am not in and out. Just like a small mom and pop, beautiful hotel with memories of, Jim Morrison and everything else, maybe that hotel's not owned by a big corporation and they can't afford what the Hilton can afford. And even to some point, which I've talked to people in the industry, it's like in the union, sometimes you can price yourself out. Sometimes the bigger places that have the money, if they're not making the profits they say, screw it, we're not going to open it up. And all it leaves is less jobs. People get fired. There's no more jobs for people to get, and the cost of everything goes up. So we need to get our costs down. And we also need to stop. Another thing that they're doing, now that we have the new, this new program, that new program, everything that they want us to do costs more money. And I'm not saying, there aren't great things for the environment that we can do. What I'm saying is, can we please put a break on things, look at the disaster that's in front of us, and make common sense decisions for the safety of our restaurants and our homeowners and our elderly, for the health and well-being of them. And also, why can't we Doge LA? Can we please Doge LA and see where the fraud is, Frank? Can somebody please do that? Because there's tons of fraud. We are very generous, Angelenos, and we love taking care of the homeless. We love our animals. I'm going to say this has nothing to do with small restaurants, but it has something to do with LA and Angelenos and myself. They actually are talking about closing down some of the humane shelters. Dogs are on high kill right now. So all their fraudulent spending that they don't want to look at, and now they've got to fire, city workers. There's more people losing jobs. They're going to kill more animals to make base because they can't afford to keep them. This is how they defund things. This is how they get what they wanted, to defund the police. Now we're dropping our police from 8,000 to 6,000 because we don't have the money. Where did the money go? Where did the money go? And I think we all need to get angry, and we all need to take a chance and really vote differently and start being heard. And I'm very proud of the smaller restaurants and businesses that are speaking out and doing their own thing on Instagram, and they're going out trying to make everybody aware. Because anything, and I've always said this, in the place of restaurants and bars and even, your little hairstylist, we see it first. We see it first. We get the homeless first. We get the crime first. We see the delay in LAPD first. And we have been shouting this warning since after COVID. And I just hope and I pray that as Angelenos, we all start educating ourselves and start making better decisions and not doing the same old thing over and over that's not working. It's just not working.
Straight from the heart, Angela Marsden live with us here on 790 KBC, laying it on thick, telling it like it is. And God bless you, Angela, for keeping up the fight and keeping the faith as well, and for really motivating small business people to speak out about what's happening with city leadership and everything you said falling on deaf ears. I know you've also tried to mobilize the business folks there related to crime and homelessness, and it's heartbreaking to hear what you described early on about people coming in there and just awful. What is happening on that front? Sadly, you mentioned the police response can be what, 45 minutes, an hour or two, or if at all.
Yeah. Well, because it's not considered an emergency, right? So it's not on the priority call, obviously. So yeah, it can take 45 minutes. I know some security guards that told me they just give up and they hang up. And I'm not blaming LAPD. They don't have the staff. They don't have the 911 callers. But instead of looking at where we can cut money from specialty things or finding the fraud, we're just cutting where it's going to hurt the most. We already are Mad Max. I mean, everybody that lives here knows what's going on. We have to defend ourselves. We have to defend our home. We have to walk down the street wondering if we're going to be attacked. We have to think about how we're going to attack back. I mean, that is not a quality of life. And we pay a lot in taxes for a good quality of life, and we deserve that. And I'm not saying that anybody that is a homeless person deserves to be cared for, but the way we're going about things is not working. And I do want to point out real quick, shout out to Monica Rodriguez, John Lee, and Tracy Parks, because they were smart enough to know not to vote for that budget, not to vote to cut LAPD, not to vote to cut $17 million more on top of the underfunding that she did to the fire department. I mean, I guess she feels like, hey, there's nothing left to burn down, right? I mean, I don't understand it. I don't even understand the rationale. And as far as, when I was working with my city councilwoman and the business owners started to give up. I've talked with LAPD about trying it again, but there's only so many times you can go on a call with LAPD and your city council office, even bring the board of supervisors in and have a mayor's representation in, and then, yay, and then they pass the buck to the next person. Then all of a sudden it's the state of California is why they can't do anything. But meanwhile, you're literally saying, no, you don't understand. We pay the taxes in this city, and I can't even open my storefront without feeling unsafe. And you talk about Board of Health. The Board of Health comes in and scrutinizes this all the time. But yet homeless people are able to defecate in front of your business. That's healthy. I mean, this is just simply, we have politicians. Yeah, it's outrageous. We have people that have never owned businesses and literally do not understand what we go through. And it's not fair to the community.
No. Angela, thank you very much again for telling it like it is. Of course, all of us are with you. I remember you have a beautiful place there, the Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill. I remember that wonderful live remote broadcast we did there with John Phillips and Randy Wang, and hope to be back with you there in Sherman Oaks as soon as possible, Angela, and look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thank you very, very much, Angela, for laying it out on the line again this afternoon here, live with us on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC.
Looking for a degree program that rewards you for what you already know? At WGU, all of our bachelor's and master's programs are competency-based, allowing you to progress at your own pace. Washingtonians know how valuable time and money are, and so do we. At WGU, your hard work and experience can help you finish your degree faster and for less. Join a community of driven professionals from across the DMV who are unlocking new career opportunities today. See how your knowledge can give you an edge at wgu.edu.
Actor Michael Rosenbaum, he knows some of the most talented people in the business.
Let's get inside of Jack Osbourne.
Bands would say Black Sabbath was a huge influence.
And thank God you liked it, boy.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood.
Peter gets on the phone. Elijah, would you like to play the role of Frodo?
Did you cry?
Probably screamed at the top of my lungs.
You play iconic characters, Black Canary and Black Siren. Who would you choose?
Probably Black Siren. She's like, I got this. And that's how Katie Cassidy feels. She's got this.
I like that.
The Inside of You podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Mottek On Money continues, 790 KBC, continuing our update now on the Main Street economy here in Los Angeles. Let them truckers roll 10-4. Let's get an update now what's ahead for the trucking business here. And Joining us now is Charles Bowles, one of the top executives at Trader Interactive. That's the parent company of Commercial Truck Trader. He knows what's going on with the CARB rules reshaping California trucking, which is facing big changes under new emissions rules, among other things happening here. Charles Bowles, thank you very much for taking the call here this afternoon.
Oh, thank you so much, Frank. Man, and I tell you what, it is a crazy time in the industry. And if you'd like, I can jump right into the new regulations.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
All right. There are two main regulations for the commercial truck industry. There's the Advanced Clean Trucks Regulation, which is ACT, which is supply side, which is the manufacturer rule, and it's in effect now. And then there's the Advanced Clean Fleets Regulation. It's demand side for fleets. Part of it has been abandoned, specifically those targeting private fleets, and we'll talk about that in a second. So the Advanced Clean Trucks Regulation was adopted by CARB in 2020, and it requires manufacturers of medium and heavy-duty trucks to sell an increasing percentage of ZEVs, or zero-emission vehicles, starting in 2024, last year. It applies to truck manufacturers and importers, not fleets directly. It's designed to ensure ZEVs supply exists for downstream regulations like the ACF, which we're going to talk about, the Advanced Clean Fleets Regulation. Now, that was approved by CARB in April of 2023, and it focuses on fleet operators, not manufacturers. And it required private fleets to adopt a certain number of ZEVs, and it increased that ratio over time up until 2042 in most cases, where they had to be fully ZEV. However, in January of this year, CARB withdrew its request for a federal waiver from the Environmental Protection Agency that would have allowed it to enforce those provisions. They knew they wouldn't get past the Trump administration, and as a result, CARB has agreed to repeal the following components: the high priority fleet requirements that mandates that large private fleets transition to zero emission vehicles, drayage truck requirements, those that bring stuff at the ports and the intermodal facilities. That's been repealed, and the 100% ZEV sales mandate by 2036. So that is also been repealed. So what remains are state and local government fleets. They've got requirements for public agencies to transition to ZEVs, and reporting requirements for those local municipalities as well.
On the air live with an expert on all of this, and appreciate that very much. Charles Bowles is one of the top executives at Trader Interactive. That's the parent company of Commercial Truck Trader. And, of course, Washington getting in on this with the Senate voting recently to revoke the two major truck emission rules from California, and all this awaits President Trump's signature. Is that being cheered by the trucking business here?
Oh, by far. This is one of those times when, our industry, we're all committed to having better air quality, and we think we're doing it without these what we consider somewhat onerous requirements. But, even once Trump signs that, and, we expect him to, there is going to be so much litigation. Expect months and even possibly years of ongoing litigation. And, Frank, if you were required to read the Federalist Papers in college, this is a classic battle between a state and the federal government. It sounds all too familiar. We're seeing a stronger central government, position and designed to maintain order and stability, commerce in this case. And it's critical that these, in our opinion, these regulations are modified so that we can get to them reasonably in a reasonable amount of time without the imposition of these additional, really tough regulations.
Wish we had more time, but we're going to keep an open line to you on this very important part of the economy, especially here with the port economy being so large here in the Los Angeles area. Charles, thank you very much. I'll say it again. Let them truckers roll at 10-4.
Thanks, Frank. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much. Charles Bowles, one of the top folks at the Trader Interactive company, the parent company of Commercial Truck Trader, live with us here on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC. Stay tuned now for the 790 KBC News Blitz with Randy Wang at 5. And then at 6, stay tuned for the Just Help One radio show and podcast presented by the Union Rescue Mission. I'll be back on with URM CEO Mark Hood at 6. Stay tuned, 790 KBC.
I'm Paula Pan. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible because let's face it, money's too important to wing it.
What you'll hear is a couple money geeks sitting and talking about this stuff that we're so passionate about.
You name it, anything that's on your mind, retirement debt, student loans, saving for college.
It's a personal finance journey. It is a wide-ranging squirrel conversation about the topic of personal finance and good financial planning. Super fun.
Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.